Now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, punters. Very excited. Got a special edition of the pod this week because we're joined by the great former Hawke's Bay Magpie and All Black and star of the SENZ Breakfast Show, Israel Dagg. Izzy, thanks very much for joining the show. How are you?
I'm good actually. Yeah, no, it's great to be on the show with you lads. I talk to Paul Moati every single day. He pays us out. He brings a few raps every now and then. We're expecting a song tomorrow morning from the great Paul Moati. But no, I'm doing great, mate. It's good to have sport on the airways with SENZ. I'm enjoying that journey, learning every single day, and it's great to be here.
Yeah, no, it's been great having you on there and enjoying following your journey as a racing punter very much over the last few weeks. Hopefully, we might be able to get you on the leg up in a couple of weeks, breaking down some racing as well. But as you mentioned, we're also joined by Paul Moati this week. Paul, kia ora.
Yeah, great to have Izzy along as well. You said he was the star of the show. Look, I'm trying to grab that mantle off him, to be fair.
You are a big part of our show, Paulie Moy. You are a big part of our show. I look forward to 8:20 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, I always think of you more as a bit of a Dion Waiters type, Paul. You know, you're good in little bursts, but if you give the guy too much of the ball, it can get pretty messy pretty quickly. So good to keep you in your role there, I think.
Where am I at the moment? Cleveland? Have I moved on from there? What am I doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you demanded a trade, right? That was the last I heard.
100%.
Yeah. But let's crack right into it because it was obviously a massive weekend of footy over the weekend and got to start on the Gold Coast Sunday evening. Not probably the result any of us wanted to see, but pretty impressive test all round. I know I thoroughly enjoyed the first 79 and a half minutes of it, if not the last 30 or so seconds. But Izzy, what were your thoughts on the game as a whole compared to the week before?
You got to take your hats off to South Africa. I think they played a great game of chess. You know, they set the All Blacks up perfectly in that first test. Obviously, did a lot more aerial kicking from Faf de Klerk and Andre Pollard. You know, skin in the pocket every second phase. They were kicking everything. And then the second test, I spoke about it quite a few times on the airways. The only time South Africa had troubled myself and put us under a lot of pressure was when they brought that ability to switch from their kicking game straight into the width, playing some rugby, playing on the edges, and catching the All Blacks out. Because once you play that kicking game, the wingers and the fullbacks, they drop back, and you probably put a lot more numbers back in the backfield. I think the All Blacks did that, expecting South Africa to kick more, and they didn't. So hats off to the South African coaching management, the players. I thought the biggest change for South Africa was actually the changes they made. But tactically, when they changed the front row, which goes against traditions, when a new front row will come on at about the 60 mark and send it home, they actually brought them on at the 40-minute mark, which actually brought a lot of life to their set piece, which is a set piece that was already dominating the All Blacks. The All Blacks were pretty poor at the scrum. Line out, they couldn't win too much ball. They were able to pressure the opposition line out a little bit, but our own ball wasn't good enough, so they put us under a lot of pressure there. And I think when Elton Jantjies came on for South Africa, he's played with the Lions, Johannesburg Lions, and they were probably the first side to really showcase that South Africa can play rugby. 2017 in the Super Rugby, 2016 when they went 2 years straight to back-to-back finals. Didn't quite get there in the end, thank goodness. But their ability to actually play some exciting football and actually play ball in hand, I think Elton Jantjies was a big part of that. When he came on, he changed his game for South Africa. And, I just tap my hat off to them. They brought a total different game and they caught the All Blacks out, surprised the All Blacks. And it was quite funny. John Plumtree, the week before, he said, no, we know what to expect now. We know what to expect now, which was quite funny when you know what a South African team brings. So him saying that, knowing what they're going to expect, the coaches would have heard that and said, okay, they're expecting us to kick here. Why don't we surprise them? And then Adi Savia afterwards, he just said, look, they were called out quite a few times on things they hadn't seen and South Africa going into the edges. So, yeah, it was a close game. It was one of the cracking games, and you got to take your head off to All Blacks too. They stayed in that fight. with the scraps that they were living off. They were able to score some amazing tries. I think Bowden Barrett's getting better and better as week goes on. I love it when he's attacking the line, getting offloads off. Rico Ioane, whether he's a centre or a wing, for me, he's a winger. I'd rather him on the wing and playing extremely well on the wing. Just his ability to just finish. He's lightning quick. Anton just needs time at centre. He's coming back from a big layoff. So, look, the signs are there. I've been really impressed with the All Blacks. They're playing some good rugby. There's just little things that they need to touch up. The set piece with Sammy Whitelock coming back, that'll just help out. It just showcases how important Sammy is. For Brodie Retallick to be able to operate, I think we need a Sammy Whitelock there, or we need someone to step up so we can take some pressure off Brodie, to let him roam, to let him get physical and play his type of game we're used to.
Yeah, sure. Some great insight there, particularly around the sort of impact I think Whitelock will make when he comes back, right? It probably goes underrated, just the effect he has on that forward pack. Did you have any other takeaways from the game yourself, Paul?
I think let's look at the positives first. The All Blacks retained the Bledisloe Cup, and the All Blacks won the Rugby Championship. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
But if we look at that final Test match, I think there's a couple of areas the All Blacks can have a look at. Their discipline. I think they gave away 14 or 15 penalties in that match, and they gave a couple of crucial ones away late in the game. And that ties in with their inability to I guess, lock down a game when they're ahead. They only needed to hold on to the ball for that last couple of minutes, tie it up, that's it, game over. So that's something for them to work on. I think some of the decisions that they made during the game as well, whether to take the shot at goal or kick for a line out and go and have a go. I've always been one for, if I'm a neutral observer, I love teams to kick for the sideline and have a go, sort of thing. But I hope that they've got a wee bit of statistical analysis in the background that'll help guide them in future Test matches, where it would say at this point of the game, when the score is this, it's best to take the shot at goal, or the better option is to go for the line out and try for the try. So yeah, as Izzy said, set pieces, South Africa dominated there. The scrums, they were brilliant at scrum time, and they disrupted our line out quite a bit as well. So there's a few things to work on for the All Blacks. You got to give credit to Nia Naba and the South African coaching team as well. They tweaked their game plan, and it worked. Caught the All Blacks off guard slightly, but it was a great Test match. The 101st Test match between South Africa and the All Blacks. It was a brilliant Test match. Both teams had sort of opportunities to win the game. In the end, it was the Springboks. But I think we could take enough out of that to say we're still on track for World Cup. And I think you say South Africa are also on track to defend their World Cup title. So I really enjoyed the game. And there's enough there for the All Blacks to work on. Of course, they'll be getting a few new recruits when they travel, take their squad to the Northern Hemisphere. I'm looking forward to it as well.
It's a funny one, Paul, with that last 5 minutes, because a lot of teams do it now. They play that tic-tac. They go in to slow the ball down, and actually the refs are looking for that. The refs are constant. They're not looking at the defensive team. They're looking at the opposition, the attacking team, sealing off that ball, going off their feet, and it's a crazy one. I know that it's always been a big part when I was playing to get into that tic-tac to try and kill the game, but now refs are looking for it. They're looking for opportunities to give the defensive team an ability to get the ball back. So what is the alternative? Are you saying, well, don't stop playing? We don't play. We just keep playing. We keep playing attacking rugby, and if we're good enough to hold on to the ball for countless phases, then good thing. Or do we kick the ball down long, back our defense, and just give them an opportunity to attack? It's a funny one, eh? And that's the big point, because there was 5 minutes there that we were trying to kill the game. It was just too long.
Yeah, and I think that's another area where hopefully the All Blacks can have a look at the statistical analysis and go, this is the best option for us to take at this time of the game. And if it's to trying, because I agree with you. The referees are looking for
Mm.
any opportunity to award a penalty to the defending side.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it, I guess, more of a competition for the ball and possession. So obviously, they're going to have to make a few the All Blacks are going to have to make a few sort of tweaks there in how they try to shut down a game. And maybe they're going to have to pop the ball too far, go too wide instead of just one out all the time. Just to get away from where the bulk of that defensive line is. But I agree with that. It's getting tougher for teams to actually lock the ball down because, what was it, 5-10 years ago, if you had the ball in the last 5 minutes, it was very, very hard to get it off you. The referees weren't sort of adjudicating that way. They are leaning towards the defensive side now.
Yeah, for sure. I would almost think you put it down into the South African 22 in that last 5 minutes there, right? At least then they have to go 80 or 90 meters and try and work the ball out of their own half. But yeah, I mean, it's very easy to sit here and Monday morning quarterback it, right? But one thing I did want to ask you, Izzy, is you obviously played a lot of tests against the Springboks over the years. A lot of those tests, they were probably one of the two best sides in the world alongside the All Blacks. There were other tests where maybe they weren't the greatest Springbok vintage, but I saw you ranked New Zealand versus South Africa as the second greatest sporting rivalry on the radio earlier in the week. Is there just something different about, when you step onto the field against the Springboks as an All Black, it feels different to other tests?
It just feels different. And one of the big parts to that is South Africa as a country, when we've been able to travel there. It's such a hostile place. It's, it's a beautiful country. Then they've got some beautiful people over there, but they're going through their own certain things in their lives over in South Africa. So I think it's just the whole build-up to playing in South Africa, playing in Soweto, where people are doing it pretty tough, and then you play in a country with 95,000 Springbok fans just going absolutely ballistic, and you're playing at altitude. So as a player, you have to go to another level, and you can't train for it. Mentally, it's the most challenging game you could ever play. So for me, just going on personal, times that I've played the Springboks, it just ranks so high for me. I guess when you play them too, you just know what you're going to get. And it's physically the most demanding game. You saw South Africa on the weekend, like Sia Khaleesi. I think Luke Jacobson was over the ball and someone else, and he cleaned them both out by himself. So they are just physically on another level. They are big, they are strong, and they are powerful. So you're just always going to walk away from that game tired, battered and bruised. Even the fullbacks, fullbacks, that's probably the game. If you're a fullback, that's the game where you really know where you're at. Where you really know where you're at in your game. You're going to be tested hot with the high ball. You're going to be tested on the edges with Brian Habana running at you and quality wingers all over the show. So you know where you're at. Are you good enough to play at this level? Well, play South Africa and we'll soon see. So for me, it's just one of the great rivals. And I was lucky enough to play in many games. I think 2013, I think it was yesterday, it was on this day, 2013, there was a game in Johannesburg, Ellis Park. And it was just back and forward. Nigel Owens was the ref. He said that was probably one of his greatest games he's ever reffed. Just both sides playing attacking rugby, backwards and forwards. Kieran Reid scoring a try. Then John de Villiers scoring a try down the end. Willie LaRue getting a breakaway and just getting ankle tapped by Bowden Barrett in the corner. So just, one of the all-time great tests. So for me, it's right up there as probably the greatest rivalries.
Yeah, no, and it was great to see another edition of that on Saturday night. I was going to ask you, but you sort of touched on there, what it must be like just going into a test against the Springboks, knowing you're going to have about 100 high balls heading your way over the next 80 minutes and just sort of mentally preparing for that. It must be pretty draining, right?
Like all week you're training for it. So you get 40 minutes post-training to do some work-ons, and you're doing 38 minutes on high ball, and Steve Hansen's coming over and he's giving you a few tips. So you start looking at him going, are you sure, mate? You know what you're doing? So, look, it is mentally, you just got to be right on. And when you're a rugby player and when you're a competitor and an athlete, there's nothing better than testing yourself against the best in the world. And playing South Africa, we always knew when we were playing South Africa, if we could catch the high balls and we can nail that job, that's 80% of the game. That's 80% of the game getting us the result in the end. So a lot of it relied on the outside backs to do their job, which is unusual. You usually rely on the forwards. Yeah, set piece and the scrum was very important, but we knew 80% of the time that if we don't catch these balls, it's going to be a tough night for the All Blacks and we probably won't get the result. So a lot of pressure, but we embraced it.
Did Shag ever put the boots on and actually get under a few bombs himself at training?
No, he didn't. But Corey Jane, I remember the story. Corey Jane is, great, one of the greatest bloody high ball receivers, catches going around. He comes over and he tells CJ, he's like, Siege, he gets his knee and he goes, get your knee up. And as he walks off, and CJ's like, mate, are you kidding me? I haven't seen him jump off the ground before ever. Just gets into him. So, no, he never got the boots on, but he was quite funny. He'd come over and give us a few tips. He was pretty enjoyable. Pretty witty old Steve Henson, actually.
Yeah, nice one. I think that's a good wrap up of the Springboks game, and conscious of time because I do want to get your thoughts on another big game coming up this Saturday where the Magpies face probably the toughest Shield challenge of the season with the Tasman Mako heading up to Napier with their 3 chartered flights. Going to be a huge game at McLean Park on 4:35. The bookies have opened the Magpies are slight underdogs. They're currently 2.30 head to head.
Yeah, no.
Tasman $1.56. Yeah. Well, Paul, you've already guaranteed the Shield's not going anywhere all season. Have you gotten around the corner and had a word with the pricing team after seeing those odds?
I didn't have to. They had to move their pricing. The Hawke's Bay opened up at $2.70 to win this game on the weekend. They're now into $2.30. Yeah. They were 5.5 point dogs. They're now 3.5 point dogs. So the public have already spoken. They've said the line's not right. You've got to move it. And I think it'll move a wee bit more before kickoff as well. Mm. We're talking about the real Bay this time. So yeah, at home at McLean Park, they are. I just believe they are going to be just a wee bit better than Tasman. Now we saw Tasman dispose of Southland last week. I don't think they did Tasman any favours. I think Hawke's Bay come in off the bye, refreshed, and I think they needed it. I don't think they're going to let the Shield go this season. I've told you this before, Patrick. The Shield's not moving. They're not going to send Ash Dixon off. They're not sending Ash Dixon off as a loser. I'll give you the tip right now. So the fact that it's his last season there, the Ranfurly Shield's on the line. I'm sure they looked at the season before it started and they said, right, these are the big games here. We're going to be up for these ones. We're still going to try on the other ones, but these are the big ones. And this is probably the biggest game of the season for them. I think the 2.30 still take it. Yeah. I think it's going to close closer to $2 by the time we get to kick off.
Yeah, that's my best bet, actually, Paulie. That's my best bet, $2.30, Hawke's Bay Magpies to win the game. I think that's great money, value for money. I tell you, there's a news yesterday with the announcement of unlimited numbers, social distancing. Hopefully we can get a crowd there in the Hawke's Bay, and we know how vocal they are. I think that does Hawke's Bay rugby team a whole lot of good because they've got a wonderful fan base, a lot of wonderful supporters. They've, like you've said, Paulie, they've got a squad there that I've been very impressed over the last couple of years. I reckon last year, if they were in the top division, they would have potentially pushed Tasman right all the way to that premiership final because they were outstanding last year. Look, this year they probably haven't been at their best that we used to, but they've found way to win. They've found ways to win the game, and that showcases to me that's a winning culture. That's a winning team, and it goes back to Ash Dixon. He's going to be a huge loss. He is the komato of that side. They've got a lot of respect for him. Cash Dixon, first try scorer, easy money. Leans on the back of a more, kick to the corner, more set piece. That is their bread and butter. They are so good at that. But then they've got players around in all positions. They've got players in all positions. They picked up the wonderful Eddie Inari from Canterbury. He's been outstanding at halfback. And then they got Lincoln McClutchy at 10. Who I think's been hard done by when he had to go to Japan, didn't get picked up for Super Rugby. I think he's been very, very good. They've had Danny Tuala, who I think's got a big future if he can just sort a few things out off the field. He's got the talent, he's got the game there. So they've got the players, but then like you say, Paul, Tasman, they're starving, mate. They're starving. Had Andrew Goodman on the show this morning and didn't really give too much away, which is a scary prospect, when you think about it. They're not saying too much. They know what's at stake here. Marlborough, 73, last time it was ever in the region. this is their final. This is what they've been waiting for all year. I spoke to Andrew Goodman about 2 months ago, actually, and he spoke about this game. He asked me, are you going to be there? So today I said, I'm going to be there on Saturday. And he said, well, don't you put your one-eyed patch and go for Hawke's Bay. I want a neutral bloody commentator. So, look, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be close. And talking to Smithy today, he's nervous. Look, I'm a little bit nervous, but I just got faith in the Hawke's Bay side to get the job done in the end.
Loving the confidence from both of you. It's making me pretty fired up for the game. Did want to ask you as well, as you obviously played a pretty big role in a campaign for Hawke's Bay where they held the Shield throughout 2015. Paul sort of mentioned before they've probably gone through the schedule with a marker and identified those key games. Is that something from experience you think they would have done? Is this the one they would have had the eyes on all season leading into the marker?
Yeah, 100, yeah, totally. They penciled this in a very, very long time ago, and this is like a team that's been starved of challenges. They've been starved of a challenge. It's just the way that the Ranfurly Shield works. You know, Hawke's Bay have had it. They've never played Hawke's Bay at home for a very long time. Let's be honest, they're coming into this 9-2. They've beaten Hawke's Bay Magpies 9 times, lost twice. So they've got the backing. They've got the backing in previous results. Just Ranfurly Shield brings out a different side to some players and some teams, and Hawke's Bay are building a dynasty, whether they can go there. But, yeah, they would have penciled this in a very long time, and Andrew Goodman would have been, leading right towards us and hopefully doing an upset in Hawke's Bay on Saturday.
Sounds great. Yeah, looking forward to it a lot. I know you got to hit the road in a second, but you've already shouted out Hawke's Bay to win and Ash Dixon for a first try score for a couple of bets. Are there any other value bets you like the look of for the punters before you hit the road?
Yeah, best bet will be Hawke's Bay, $2.30. Value bet will be Tyson Fury wins by unanimous decision. That is $4. That is paying $4. Tyson had a bit of COVID, so I just think he won't have the knockout punch, but he'll grind him down and get the win by points. So that's a good bet. Try scorer Ash Dixon, Cash Dixon we call him. I don't know what he's paying, but he's probably paying a wee bit unless Paul Moati's done something with those odds. And anchor Zaki, race 6. Saturday at the Caulfield, won the last 5 starts. It's only $1.20 though, so yuck. But Zaki.
Appreciate that. Plenty for the punters to dive into there. Great insight you provided. It's always great to have someone who knows what they're talking about on the podcast instead of me and Paul just sort of sharing our nonsense. So.
No, you boys are very insightful. I love it. And anytime. I'm sorry I had to shoot off quickly, and I'd be happy to help out anytime, boys.
No, much appreciated. Hopefully, we can get you back on later in the year. Hopefully, to celebrate a successful challenge from the Magpies and
get me on next week.
Sounds good, mate.
Cheers, Izzy.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate that.
Hey, Paul, are you gonna bring a song tomorrow?
I said I'll bring a song when you guys pick a winner.
Oh, we picked a winner. See you guys.
Cheers, mate. Obviously, before the Ranfurly Shield clash, though, Paul, a team close to your heart, the Wellington Lions, heading back out on the Cake Tin to take on Canterbury on Friday evening, went down in heartbreaking fashion up in the Bay of Plenty on Saturday afternoon. I don't know quite how you reacted to that one.
It was, obviously it was a lot more heartbreaking for the players.
I haven't seen your betting account. I don't know.
It wasn't a game where I went too hard, just because of the nature of the two teams. And we got a sort of a game where it was anyone's. It was a coin flip right up to the final whistle. I guess there's some sort of parallels with the All Blacks, though, in regards to Wellington. They have an inability to lock down a game when they're in front with not too much time left on the clock. Their discipline, once again, is unfortunately lacking. I think they sort of, I don't know, they either lack leadership or experience at the final 5-10 minutes when they've got a game either in the balance, or they're just behind, or they're just in front. They don't quite seem to have a pattern that they've got locked down, or a formula. I see they are slight favourites this weekend. I don't think you can back them with any confidence, even though they've got Coles coming back into the scrum before he leaves for the Northern Hemisphere tour. It's another game where I won't be going too hard either way when I do decide. I still believe Ruben Love should be in the 10 jersey, and he should stay there. If he's going to be on the field for 80 minutes, he should stay in that position, and you can juggle other things around because I think he is one sort of, I think some constant that you can build other things around. I don't really like seeing him move back to fullback late in the game. I think he should be number 10 for as long as he's on the field. It's strange because Canterbury, obviously historically, have been the team to beat in the NPC. They're now the little brother in that Crusaders franchise when it comes to the NPC. Tasman now have wrestled the big brother label off Canterbury, in my opinion. And I say, once again, this game does look like a coin flip. I don't know which way to go.
Yeah, well, I think anytime you're getting Canterbury, as underdogs, it's pretty hard to turn down. Obviously, the Dan Coles factor, I think, just around the leadership and everything like that. If anyone's going to get a team up for a game, it'll be Colesy. I still think back to, it was the Nani Lamape sort of inside access stock they ran on Sky Sport a few weeks ago, and they had all the boys in the huddle before a game, and they had Dane giving the pre-game speech, and you did not hear a single word. It was all just bleeped out. None of it was broadcastable. So after a few weeks on the sidelines, I'm sure Dane will be absolutely raring to go. But yeah, it's not a game I'm overly confident. Just for the punters' information, I have had word from Matt Fisk while he couldn't make it on this week. He's on all 4 pluses this week, so he's certainly leaning the way of Canterbury, and I'm sure he'll be backing Cam Bailey to score a try as well. He's named on the wing again.
Definitely will be. Yep.
Yeah. But head down south for the last 2 games of the round. First of all, Otago, $3 outsiders under the roof at Forsyth Bar Stadium. They're taking on the red-hot Taranaki Bulls. The bookies are in no danger of getting ripped out on social media for their fair odds this week after opening the Bulls at $1.35 favourites. Are you steaming into Taranaki as more than a converted dry favourite on the road?
No, I quite like Otago plus 7.5 down there. And look, I've been impressed by Taranaki the whole season. They've probably got the best squad as a whole out of all the teams still playing. So there's no slight on Taranaki here. I just think Otago, after that gallop they had against Manawatu last weekend, will be just a wee bit better. They return home to their familiar surroundings. I think the 7.5 is definitely worth taking on Otago. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with Fisky here. I think plus 7.5 definitely looks like the bet to have in this match.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Obviously, a couple of question marks with Kane Hemmington going off early with the HIA in Palmy. If he's not back, I don't know if that maybe affects the Otago backline a bit. But they've got the weapons, guys like Karoi and
Fadders.
Fadders. Yeah, they've got plenty of danger in that backline. Fred and Vahakola as well looks dangerous whenever he gets ball in hand. So, getting the conditions under the roof to suit could help them maybe spread the ball around a bit. Taranaki have been more maybe forward-centric to start the season. I'm really impressed with their loose forward trio. And Josh Lord, obviously getting called up to the All Blacks. I'm sure they weren't banking on that one. So
No. Fantastic. Thoroughly deserved.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't argue with his form for the Chiefs scouting department. The amount of locks they seem to pull out of it. You've had Tupu Vaya, Notora Koi, who they got out of Wellington College, looks like another potential superstar, and Josh Lord, all in the last couple of seasons. They're doing a great job somewhere there. So, yeah, good to see Lord get the call up, and the All Blacks locking stocks as well, and no danger of running dry anytime soon. The way these things are going. So, yeah, good to see. But
they'll need a good supply of locks too if they're going to be playing the Springboks over a number of tests in the next couple of years, which they will be.
Yeah, I imagine it's one of those things. It's all eyes on 2023. Much like I think you even heard Ian Foster compare him to a Safo Moore or a Saya Tuiava, guys like that who they took on Northern Hemisphere tours as pure projects. But might as well, since we're on the subject, was there anyone else you thought maybe could have been taken along in those roles? I've got a name in mind, but was there anyone else you thought probably deserving of a spot on the squad?
Not really. I'm looking through. I thought maybe another halfback. I know he's injured and is not playing NPC, but I thought probably the Hawke's Bay number one halfback, Whakatawa. I thought he probably would have been selected for the rugby championship. I would have thought if he was healthy.
Yeah, I imagine he probably would have been ahead of Finlay Christie in the pecking order, as good as Christie's been all season. It's probably not a bad shout though. Like, he's not playing rugby down here anyway, so maybe get him into the camp, see how the whole operation works. I imagine, the idea is to have him in black sooner rather than later. But I actually had another Tongan circled with my selection note. Probably no surprise to anyone who listens, but I thought Lester Fainga'anuku probably has done his case no harm the last couple of weeks. I mean, I'm very happy just making a small fortune backing him to score 2 or more tries every week in the NPC. But yeah, look, maybe the midfield / left wing stocks aren't as deep as they've been in previous years, with Rico Ioane sort of being the only link player they've got there. So I thought maybe taking Fainga'anuku along would have been a good opportunity to get him in the camp. He looks like another one who's going to be wearing black sooner rather than later. But yeah, I'm very happy I'll be backing him to score a try against Hawke's Bay on Saturday afternoon instead. So it's fine with me. But anything else you wanted to add on Otago versus Taranaki before we move a bit further down south?
No, I think we should move a wee bit further.
Are you obviously to much success back to 102 last week? Congratulations. Welcome to the turbo wagon.
And as I say, when you're on the money wagon, you don't get off until it stops. So although Fisky's quite keen on the plus, I'm sticking with the green and white here. I'm very happy to take Manawatu minus 4.5 in this match. I know, had a look at the weather. Looks like it's going to be a great day for Southland. There's rain forecast. It's going to be cold. But I just think, and I think we saw this last weekend against Otago, the experience and I guess the nous of one Aaron Smith. Although he's not a forward, I think he guided that forward pack round, especially on defense, very, very well. And I think they stepped up a notch or two with him shouting orders behind the pack or the maul there. So once again, he's just so valuable for Manawatu. And I don't think the odds have been adjusted to reflect that yet. They're getting closer, but I'm still happy to take Manawatu minus 4.5.
Yeah, I think it was 6.5 when it opened, because I originally looked at the odds and said, that's Southland at home on a cold, dreary Sunday afternoon in Invercargill could be interesting. But yeah, now getting down below just an unconverted try, I do think you'll see another step up with those Manawatu forwards in particular getting more used to playing with Aaron and the balls he's going to be throwing. Last week they were a little bit more better at anticipating maybe a few of the opportunities he could take advantage of that a lot of other halfbacks at that level couldn't. So if you get the guys in the right place a little bit more, I think Southland do have an opportunity at the set piece though. Manawatu's scrum came under a lot of pressure in the second half against Otago, had a yellow card that was as a result of constant scrum penalties. So maybe that'll be an area. In fact, I'm sure that'll be an area Southland look to exploit. But just Manawatu, their set plays, particularly the backline moves, Brett Cameron and Jason Emery have been on fire. Like there seems to be 2 or 3 plays they pull out every week that manage to score them some tries. And if Manawatu can score a few points, I don't think Southland can keep up. So as long as the line stays below that sort of 6.5 range, I'm pretty happy to be on Manawatu 1-12. But I think this shapes up as an excellent bonus bet game. Do you want to just give the punters a quick reminder? See, we've brought it back for every game again this week, Paul. Remind the punters what NPC bonus back is.
Surely. Have we done it again this week?
That's what the Punters Lounge says.
Okay, so all 4 NPC games this weekend there's a bonus back promotion. Just place a pre-match winning team and margin bet. And if your team wins, but you have the incorrect margin, we'll refund your bet up to $50 as a bonus bet. Once again, just head to the TAB website to check out all the T's and C's regarding that promotion and all the other promotions that we've got on this weekend.
Including a rugby union / league multi-buster as well for the listeners.
Yeah, I think it's just a union one now.
Oh, is it? All right. So
Yes,
don't go
yeah.
chucking
Yeah.
don't go chucking the Super League final into any multis. But yeah, no, it's a couple of rugby specific promos there for the punters. Sorry, you had something else to say before I cut you off.
In terms of the winning team and margin, I do like Manawatu 1-12 at $3.
I'm also
I just
on
think,
that.
yeah, down there with the weather, I still think, although it'll be a 1-12 win, I think it'll be fairly comfortable for Manawatu. I can see Southland maybe grabbing a try late in the game to keep the score closer than probably the gameplay would have suggested. So yeah, Manawatu 1-12 at $3, and of course if they do kick on and run away with it with the bonus back promotion, you get an opportunity to get your money back as a bonus bet. So Manawatu 1-12.
And they've won their last two games since the resumption by 12 and 13 points exactly. And I've been on the wrong side of both of those. So got to keep riding the train. 2 bonus bets though, can make good use of those.
Yeah, Manawatu 13 and over last week, $4.33.
Oh, yeah.
Very tasty.
It was great. Yeah, shot out to that early lead and never looked back. Anything else you want to touch on NPC wise, USA versus Uruguay wise, which I know Fisky's very keen on? Anything else before we get to some best bets?
No, I do have a bet here. It's not NPC though, and it's not USA, Uruguay either.
Is it United Rugby Championship?
Or no, it's the
King Country.
It's a World Cup futures bet.
Okay. The
yeah.
Wallabies?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they're a very good price at $13 to win the Rugby World Cup. And as soon as we get out to make the final, I'd back them there as well. They're in Pool C, which is probably the easiest pool at the World Cup. They probably only have to beat Wales to finish top of that pool. That won't be an easy match, but the depth that they're building in that squad now and the confidence that they're building in that Australian squad, I think will hold them in good stead in 2023. So if they win their pool, then they probably play Argentina in the quarterfinal. And if they get through that, then they'll face either South Africa or France in the semi-final. So those two teams are going to bash the hell out of one another. Whereas it looks like the Australians should have quite a cruisy sort of pathway to the semi-final. I mean, once you get to those knockout games, anything can happen. So, yeah, Australia to win the World Cup at $13, I think, is one to tuck away now, because I just think they're going to just gradually keep tightening in as we get closer to World Cup time.
I'm sure the punters will appreciate that sort of insight. Yeah, you almost guaranteed that France somehow beat the All Blacks in the opening game now, and all the rugby championship teams end up on the same side of the draw.
And then everything gets turned on its head.
Yeah, and then we're looking at an Argentina South Africa World Cup final or something. Anyway, maybe a couple of bets the punters can get stuck into that won't take 700 days to result. What's your best bet this weekend?
Manawatu -4.5. Well, no, I'll take Hawke's Bay plus. Was it 3.5 at the moment? I was very, very happy to take the 5.5. I'll still take the 3.5. I think this will be a tight game. So Hawke's Bay plus 3.5.
I'm on plus 3.5 as well, but in the Canterbury-Wellington game, just going to take Canterbury plus the 3. I think both teams have been playing a lot of really close games this season, sort of stat where most of them have been decided by a try or less. So getting that, penalty goal extra with the team, I think probably should be favourites, all things considered. Very happy to take that. How about a bit of value?
Manawatu 1-12 at $3.
Nice one. I'm going to the Ranfurly Shield Challenge. Odds aren't out yet, but once they are, I'll be taking the try bet. Either team 6 or under. I just think, this game's got arm wrestle written all over it.
That very much looks that way.
Yeah, that was an old favourite in Isbo's, so I'll dive into that one. And then my bonus back bet to take advantage of the promotion will be Manawatu 1-12. Sticking strong with the turbos there. Have you got another bonus back bet, or are you going to repurpose your Manawatu 1-12 for that as well?
No, I'll take Hawke's Bay 1-12.
Nice one. And a multi-anchor for those punters getting stuck into the rugby multi-buster?
Manawatu head-to-head, $1.49.
I'm going with Taranaki. I just think they're maybe the best team in the competition. Even if it's a bit close, they should be too good for Otago. Last one, obviously no odds out at the time of recording because we're still waiting on a few teams. But do you have a try score bet that you like?
I'll go with Izzy. Not to score a try. I'll go with his tip. I'll go with Ash Dixon.
Yeah, nice one. I thought you might be shouting at Dan Coles, but I knew it was going to be someone with a number 2 on their back. I did also look at Dan Coles, but I can't. This is a bandwagon I can't jump off of. Leicester Whanganui got another double against Southland on the weekend. Obviously, stiff competition this week, but if he was paying 220 to score against Southland, I can only imagine what he's going to be playing to score against Hawke's Bay. So I'll be jumping on Leicester once again for my try score bet. But I feel like you're about to say something, Paul.
No. I was just checking a couple of things.
Right. Anyway, I think that about does us for this week of the Pick and Go podcast. I hope you all enjoyed all the insight we got from Izzy. It was great to have him on the show, and I'll be. Well,
he was brilliant.
Yeah, it was great. I'll be having the team work the phone lines again. Hopefully, we can get him on soon because I feel like there's plenty more info we can drill out of him. So, and I'm sure we'll be graced with your presence again in the near future, Paul. Probably not next week. I believe you're up to the.
Week, no.
Yeah. We might both be in the Hawke's Bay region different times next week, but should have Fisky and Richard both back and rearing to go. Rissy's. I think got finally getting away
rest in rotation.
We'll, Paul will be getting the Josh Lord treatment. Until next week, we will be back in some way, shape, or form next week to break down all the action and look ahead to. I don't think the schedule's been released for next week, but I'm pretty sure we'll have some sort of Bunnings NPC action to get stuck into. So until then, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the punt, and hopefully you can find a few winners. Talk to you next week. Cheers, punters.